I will see people on social media talking about how they were a nomad for 6 months or 2 years and they know what it's like and it's just a scam and you can't actually get anything done and it's just a terrible lifestyle. You're going to get burnt out, so just don't even try it. This is my answer to that. In this video, I'm going to talk about how I've been able to travel for those 9 years and not get burnt out and actually still be able to pursue career goals and fitness goals and have a life outside of traveling, and also sort of want to do this indefinitely into the future. It is true, if you were to go and act like as Tim Ferriss puts it in the 4-Hour Workweek, starving dog at a buffet and try to go see everything at once and just constant back-to-back tours and traveling to this location and that location, you just got to see it all, you're going to get exhausted. And on the other end of the spectrum, you have people that aren't really talked about, usually when we mention nomads and how they're burnt out. And that is people who just stay in their house, they never travel, they never go anywhere, they never do anything but 9-to-5 job. And I can tell you, they're just as burnt out in a different way as the nomad who's traveling like the starving dog at a buffet. And so the answer is neither of these lifestyles are actually that good. And the truth is you probably should be somewhere in the middle. Because it is true, you are very likely going to get burnt out if you just stay locked in your home pretty much your entire life for 40 years working the same job in a cubicle. You're not going to like that. And at the other end of the equation, if you're moving too often and you're trying to do too many tours and see too many countries and check things off your bucket list too fast, you're going to get burnt out. I'll never forget a story years ago where it was me and maybe 8 or 10 other nomads having dinner, and there was one brand new nomad. And they were like, I am so proud of myself. I have the next 2 years just completely booked. I don't have to plan anything. I have myself moving every week or even twice a week for the next 2 years. All the hotels, all the accommodation, all the flights are fully booked. And everyone was sort of looking at each other like, that sounds terrible. But we didn't want to tell him because he already had it booked. And I don't know, to be fair, whatever happened to him. I would imagine he probably got burnt out and made a mad video on YouTube about it. But if you know you should not be doing that, the answer sort of is how often should you travel? And it really comes down to personal preference. But I will say that most people who nomad for more than 10 years or even 5 years or more, and that I know I talk to, including myself, they usually stay in one spot for some of the year for 4 to 6 months, even maybe 8 months, if you still consider that a nomad. And then they sort of move between other areas the rest of the year. Maybe they're a bit more spontaneous, they move a bit quickly the other end of the year, but there's at least some part of the year where they're at one location for 4 or 6 months of the year. It's usually a location they kind of always come back to. Maybe they have an apartment there that they bought. Maybe it's a new country every time, but usually the people that I'm talking to that I know, and myself included, go to the same place pretty much every year for 4 to 6 months. And this sort of allows you to get a break. And also, when you're in that area of the world for 4 to 6 months, you can take short little trips to see places that you don't really want to spend an entire month at. Maybe you just want to take a quick weekend trip or something. You can still do that. And for the rest of the year, some people will also still just live in 2 different places, 4 months each. They do the trifecta method. You've probably heard of it before, where it's 4 months in 3 different locations around the world. And then while you're in that region, you sort of do like some quicker trips, that type of thing. I don't personally do that, but I know it works for many people who've been traveling for a long time. The next thing I'd recommend is when you do go somewhere that you really want to go and you haven't seen yet, try not to book a return flight or a flight out. And if you want to know how to do that, I talked about this in a recent video talking about apps, websites I use. I'll link it here. But then that way you're in the location for as long as you really want to be, of course, until your visa expires. And then you can move when you feel like you're ready to the next location. One thing I've noticed is it usually takes me about 3 weeks. I don't know why it's 3 weeks, but it usually takes about 3 weeks for me to feel like I start to understand and get settled into one location. So I try not to book places that are a month long. I try to do more like 2 months. But if I don't like it, the weather's cold, etc., then I will leave earlier. So the answer really boils down to you need to take it slow, live more like a local, travel less frequently, enjoy where you're at. Instead of thinking that you're going to be a digital nomad for 2 years, that's a lot of pressure to go and see a lot of places in just 2 years. Try to make it a part of your lifestyle and something that could potentially last indefinitely. Because remember, if you do go back to that lifestyle of the person who works 9 to 5 in a cubicle, which very few nomads want to go back to, you're going to also get burnt out and miss the life that you had when you were traveling. So instead of flopping back and forth, find a middle ground, visit locations that are new, but also go back to locations that you're familiar with that maybe you already have friends at, maybe you just enjoy spending time at every year. Do that. It's a lot more sustainable, and you'll most likely end up nomading for a lot longer. So if you guys like this video, please hit the thumbs up and subscribe to follow me. Like I said, I'm on my 9th year of digital nomading while I buy and build businesses that fund my lifestyle.